Go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I'm TC. This is Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, and this is TC and Friends Monday Night Musings. And tonight, the friends are those of you that are watching. Okay, all of you that are normally watching, when you do watch, are my friends no matter what. But normally I have a guest on. But tonight I am doing this sans guest. I'm doing this solo. TC is going solo. And there's a good reason for that, my friends. It's because I got a few things that I want to talk about, and I don't know how long the stream's going to be, but we're going to deal with a couple of things. And the first thing I want to do right now, I want to get this right out of the way, right out of the gate, is the reminder that I've got a fundraiser going on for my friends Bob and Sue and their son Garrett. Garrett is now safely home in Minnesota. He is at the VA in the Twin Cities, and he is recovering. It's going better than it had been going for them, but it could be better, and they would love for you guys to thoughts, prayers, positive feelings, whatever it is that you do as a viewer of the show. And the fundraiser that's going on is for my content, my coffee, the beanies, the merchandise. 15% of that, 15% of my Subscribe Star earnings will be going to them, and my YouTube earnings and Rumble earnings between now and the end of April. So if you would be so kind as to head over there and let them know that you are paying attention to what's going on, and be as helpful as possible in that regard, because they've got a lot of expenses. They can't really stay. There's a VA related long-term place that requires a particular liquid shot into your body for you to be able to stay there. And they can't do things like have food or drinks in their own room other than water. And this is going to be a long-term situation, so they need some flexibility and some room to breathe. So they're staying in an extended stay place, and that's coming out of pocket for them. Bob is a retired Special Forces medic. His wife is Sue is a former Army. She's an Army vet as well. They've got a family full of vets, and so this is a big deal for them. And Garrett, as many of you know, have heard me talk about in the past, Garrett is a Ranger. He's a former Ranger. The incident that he is recovering from is PTSD related. So if there's anything that you guys can do to help out, please reach out to me, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. Let me know what kind of merchandise you want, or if there's another way you'd like to help, we'll certainly get you connected to the right people. So, and now, before we get on to our next video, we're going to be talking about a few topics tonight. But before we get on to the first one, we're going to throw this up real quick. Well, that didn't work. That's not what I wanted it to do. This is a fair use. Let's see. Try. And we're going to be watching Chuck's comments, if you're familiar, on the floor of the Senate. And this is in relation to Tucker Carlson from Fox News running the videos that were given to him. What is it, 400,000 hours or more, or 40,000 hours or more of videos from inside of the Capitol building on a particular date that shall forever remain in infamy. And the comments that you're going to hear are coming from Senator Schumer in regards to his expectation for an independent media outlet that's not owned and operated by the state. And it's terrifying what he has to say, and we're going to be talking about that for just a minute or two. So without any further ado, let's see what old Chucky has to say.
I don't think I've ever seen a primetime cable news anchor manipulate his viewers the way Mr. Carlson did last night. I don't think I've ever seen an anchor treat the American people and American democracy with such disdain. And he's going to come back tonight with another segment. Fox News should tell him not to. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment of lies. You know it's a lie. You've admitted it's a lie. And Speaker McCarthy is every bit as culpable as Mr. Carlson. Speaker McCarthy's decision to share security footage with Fox looked like a mistake from the very beginning. But after last night, it looks like a disaster. Speaker McCarthy has played a treacherous game by catering to the hard right. He's enabled the big lie and has...
That'll be about enough of that. So some of you are like, okay, so here's a politician waxing philosophical and doing what politicians do, which is grandstanding and clickbaiting and sensationalizing things. But what you heard in that clip was Senator Chuck Schumer threatening Fox News, threatening Tucker Carlson, threatening Rupert Murdoch. And you could say what you want. There was no threat, but I'm sorry. When you are a sitting senator with the amount of time in that Chuck Schumer has, well, here, what's Sue says? He only sounds angry when the establishment is risking exposure. He can't get mad about war disasters, our country's invasion, eggs costing dollars for a dozen. What a twit! Exactly, Sue. When you've been in as long as Chuck Schumer has been in, and you say something like that to an established media outlet, I don't care if you guys like him or not. I'm not a big Fox News fan. I'm moderately okay with Tucker. I think of all the voices on Fox News besides Kennedy, the former MTV VJ, by the way, she is an amazing voice for constitutional values on Fox. Tucker's a pretty close second. But when you have a sitting senator saying these things from the floor of the Senate, saying, I demand, basically insisting that Fox News shut Tucker Carlson down, that's a First Amendment issue, folks. That's absolutely what it is. And for those of you who've heard it, and maybe you've heard, you're on your NormieCon talking point talk shows, and you've heard of people rant and rave about it. Like, this is the reality, folks. What Schumer is saying is not the front end of the battle against the First Amendment. Chuck Schumer is on the back end of the battle against the First Amendment. Your politicians out there, Republicans and Democrats, believe they have the power to tell people what they can and cannot say. That's a dangerous precedence that's been set. I've suffered from that. So, some of you are familiar with my story. Some of you are familiar with what happened to me at the hands of a former city attorney of Albert Lea, Minnesota, Kelly Don Martinez, and their chief of police, J.D. Carlson. They came after me to silence me because they didn't like what I was saying. And my former employer, the sheriff's office of Olmsted County, agreed with them, took their side. So this is what Schumer did the other day is inexcusable. No member of Congress, no member of the Senate, no member of no elected servant, no appointed servant anywhere at any time has the authority to tell somebody you can or cannot say X, Y, or Z. They shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't, not at all. There's no reason at all for them to ever be able to do that. And it's untenable that anybody would support them. I don't care if you're a left winger. I don't care if you're a right winger. And as Sue is pointing out in the chat right now, he succeeded. Fox caved. They caved in. Tucker wasn't allowed to say anything. Now, Tucker's got I suppose he's got a lifestyle he's got to live and fund and support, and we all have to make our own decisions about what we're going to do, how far we're going to push the envelope. But I'm sick and tired of cowardice. And I'm pointing at you. Most of you so-called normie-cons, conservatives, I call you normie-cons. Most of you people who are out there beating the drum for Donald Trump, Donald Trump came out over the weekend and told all of you to go out and protest because he's about to be arrested. That's the story, right? You're stupid if you believe. For one, you're stupid if you protest. This is a setup. Two, you're stupid if you think this isn't being used, like he's not being used, okay? He's part of the inside crowd. Donald Trump is an insider. Him telling you to go out and protest if he gets arrested is setting you up, just like happened as this video that I just showed you with Schumer. It was a setup. It's a setup. It's to expose you. And he'll abandon you just like he abandoned the people from January 6th. You're like, well, he didn't. He did. He did. He absolutely did. Donald Trump does that because that's who he is. Donald Trump is that kind of person. That's what he does. He's not interested in truth. He's not interested in genuine constitutional conservatives. Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about anybody but Donald Trump. And so many of you are out there right now lauding how wonderful he is and how he's watching out for so many people. He's not. And this is rampant across the board with so many people that hold elected positions or who want to be elected into a position. They just don't give a damn about anybody but themselves. And that's not the way a public servant should be. I don't care if you don't like it. I really don't. I really don't give a damn anymore about who likes it. And just because you think that DT is the best chance of taking down the regime, he's not. He's just a different form of the regime. And so many people out there who vote straight ticket Republican all the time, you guys don't care about freedom. You don't care about liberty. You don't care about the First Amendment or the Second Amendment. You don't care about this republic. What you care about is having your people in power so that you can be in power through them, so that you can silence the people that you don't agree with and that you don't like at all anymore. That's what it is. As much as you piss and moan and rant and rave about how horrible the left is, about how horrible the Biden administration is, and about how horrible Obama was, you're just as bad. You're just as bad because as soon as your people or your guy gets in power, you'll shut down everything. Anybody at all that speaks out against your position. And the reason that I know this is because a number of you morons out there that because I say things about law enforcement that you don't like because you're back the blue at all costs, you come at me calling me names. You're a libtard, you're a leftist, you're a socialist, you're a Marxist, you're an anarchist. That's what you do. You're just as bad as the left. And I'm over you. I have a few people that are within the Republican Party who hold office right now that I have a lot of respect for in the state of Minnesota because they've demonstrated themselves to be the kind of people that will stand up for the people that they were elected by, and they'll do the right thing. And then the others of you were like, well, that kind of crap, that won't happen in my jurisdiction. That won't happen in my city. That won't happen in my county. That won't happen where I live. They wouldn't silence us. The school board wouldn't do that, but they will. Ask all the people who I've gone to bat for at school board meetings. Ask all the people that I have gone and stood shoulder to shoulder with and gone toe to toe against school boards. Tell me they won't. Watch my video from Dover Iota from a year and a half or 2 years ago or whatever it was. Watch my videos from Albert Lee. Watch my videos from Owatonna with the school boards there. You don't think your school board will turn on you? You don't think that your local law enforcement agency won't turn on you? The description of this video will have those links. You don't think it'll happen? And what we're going to address next, we're going to build up to a final story here. But what we're going to be dealing with right now is an example of just how horrible you back the blue at all costs morons are. Yeah, I said it. How horrible you back the blue at all costs you morons are. You don't think this will happen to you. You think that your jurisdiction, your county, you think your sheriff, you think your city is immune to this because you live in a rural part of the country. You think that you're immune to this because you live in greater Minnesota, Rocks and Cows, Minnesota. You don't think it's going to happen in Rocks and Cows. You don't think it's going to happen in flyover country. You don't think it's going to happen in your small rural area. Well, BS, and I have the proof that it will happen. And it's time for you guys to pull your heads out of your butts and realize that there's nobody that's fighting for you if you're not fighting for yourself. And if my subscription count drops, I don't care. I've lost a lot more than a few subscribers on YouTube. So we're going to take a look at the next one. Take a look at the next one? That'd be weird, wouldn't it? And this one is really short. It's 11 seconds. It doesn't have a lot of context, but I'm going to tell you right now, the context doesn't matter. The context doesn't matter. Right there, she tries to bite him. Let's go back just a hair. Clearly, she's handcuffed. Clearly, she's combative. The way she's acting is inappropriate, and what she's about to do is clearly illegal, and she should be charged for it. That was a bite, ladies and gentlemen. That was a bite. She bit him in the forearm. Did you see what he did there? I wish I could slow this down for you guys so you could see it. You're going to watch it again. Did you see it? Did you see it? She's a handcuffed woman. Yes, she's acting like an ass. Yes, she should be held accountable for it. But he punched her in the freaking face. A handcuffed person, male, female, I don't give a good damn. She deserves to be charged. But what he did to her, look at this. This is calculated. I don't know if you guys could see this. This is a calculated face. He's broken the punch or the bite. He's broken the bite. This is a windup. We're going backwards here. He's already broken, clearly, right? Clearly. Here she is going in for the bite. She's looking like a velociraptor right there, my friends. But she's handcuffed. She's going in for the bite. Now watch. Watch this. You could tell she doesn't even really get a bite on him. You know, and good for him. I'm glad that he didn't really get bit. She tried really hard. You see this? She's trying really hard to bite him. She's angry, and I don't blame her. It's uncomfortable to be handcuffed. Her behavior is unacceptable. She's going in for the bite. She doesn't even get the bite on him. She doesn't get it there. See this? Never actually lands the bite. Never lands the bite, my friends, at all. She's a moron. That was an attempt at assault. But she never lands the bite. And now watch him. Watch him. He keeps her from biting him. He has control over here. He pulls his arm back. Now look at that face. Look at that face. Now look. He winds up. How is this not making you mad? How can anybody be watching this and not be mad? This is a wind-up. He's looking her dead in the eye and warning her with his face what he's about to do. And you know what? You want to know the number of people that came after me? So many people. Left and right. But especially you right-wing normie-con, back to blue at all cost types. Oh, he had every right in the world to do it. Bites can be deadly. Look, now watch. Look, he knows. Because this right here where he pulled his hand back, he had his fist made. He had the fist made. Now watch where he punches her. Kind of in the throat. Throat and the chin. That's deadly force. That's deadly force. Every use of force instructor in the United States will tell you that punching somebody in the throat or in the neck or in the face is a deadly force scenario. Now watch. Then he takes her to the ground. He had control of her. He never got bit. He never got bit. Now we're going to go full speed here. You could hear it. You could hear it. You heard the punch. She never actually bit him. She never got his teeth in him. And I'm glad that she didn't. Because yes, the human bite can transfer all sorts of things. Hepatitis, Cupragonosyphilides, you name it. It can be very deadly in this, or not deadly, but very, very, very bad for you. But I just don't understand how anybody can be okay with what we saw him do to her, punching her in the face like that. I don't understand. But we're not done, friends. We're not done. We're not done. Not even close to done. Now, we're going to watch another fair use video here. So we're going to come on the scene here of a individual who apparently has some sort of head injury. And the situation arises, there are first responders there, EMTs and police. And they're trying to deal with this guy's medical condition, and it's not going well. He's combative, because when you get a head injury, you're combative. And so if you've ever dealt with somebody who's had a head injury, or somebody who's experienced some sort of traumatic brain injury, they're combative. And the EMTs are doing their level best to try and help this guy, right? Law enforcement's there, because when a call like this goes out, law enforcement is often the first people on the scene. I'm not going to dispute that. All right. Not going to argue that point at all, but it's what it is. And so EMTs are trying to help him, and it goes south really fast here. And if you can hear it, there are people who know him who are trying to talk to him, trying to de-escalate. Right, we're de-escalating here. The public citizens are de-escalating. The EMTs are trying to talk to him. And you're going to want to keep an eye on this guy, right? I don't know if you guys can see it. It's kind of center screen here. He's, obviously the officer, cop standing there to the larger gal. There, he's watching this scene. So pay real close attention to this guy.
Give me a handle.
And he just said, I understand, but you got to get out of the way. This woman is trying to help a person that she knows. She's doing what she can in a medical situation. This is a medical emergency. What you guys couldn't see at the beginning is that he's got there's some blood and stuff on his head, and she's trying to help. I wish to God there were more people like this in public.
Get these people back.
And this EMT just said, please get these people back, which is a very fair request. It's a fair request. It's a chaotic scene. It's fluid. It's dynamic. It's fair to want some space. Okay? It's fair to want some space.
Get back.
Now remember what I said. Keep a real close eye on this guy.
Right here.
Guys, just stay back, okay?
Everybody stand up.
Just everybody get back. Get back over on the sidewalk now. We've got him. Hold the trunk out.
Now this EMT right here, great awareness. We've got him. We've got him. Just keep this crowd back, please.
Got him. Hold the trunk out.
This guy right here, temper issues. Are you watching this? You see this? Did you hear that?
Get back!
That is not calm and in control. That is not an officer who is in calm, in control, and remaining professional at all times. At all. No way. That is angry. How freaking dare you encroach on me? Now watch what he does. Watch this. Watch this guy's response. He just brandished it. Now look what he does to this lady. You're going to go to jail. They're trying to help. I'm watching my viewer count right now dwindle because y'all can't handle it, right? You guys can't handle it because I know who's sticking around, but some of you tuned in because you're like, oh, TC's conservative, TC's a pro-republic guy, like, but you can't handle it. You can't handle it because I'm pointing out crap, and you're so wrapped up in your sunk cost fallacy, you're so invested that you cannot handle the critiques. You can't handle it. But let's keep watching. Now, I'm telling you, this is not a guy who's fighting. He's confused and he's angry. You can hear it. He doesn't know what's going on. He's got a head injury. Now, watch what Mr. Scream at the crowd does. I don't know if you guys can hear it there, but that's the sound of a taser, and the officer's delivering what's called a drive stun. More than likely, somewhere in here, he has removed the cartridge. The cartridge is what has the wires and the prongs, which work for muscular incapacitation. Okay, and they have to be a certain number of inches apart. I think, if I remember correctly, it's 4 inches. to get any kind of actual impact. But there's also a pain compliance aspect that's called a drive stun. And basically what you're doing is you're taking the probes on the taser itself and you're driving them into a person and you're using pain compliance. This guy's got a head injury, and this fat piece of crap, because he's got a badge and the authority to do it, thinks that he could pain compliance someone with a head injury into cooperating with the EMTs. But it's not done. It's not done because this guy right here is a stand-up individual, because he's there to actually help. He's not there to escalate. He's not there to cause a problem. He's there to help this person who is laying on the street bleeding from a head injury. He's combative because he's got a head injury. Watch what this fat piece of crap does, not just in the delivery of the drive stun, but what he does to this EMT.
He's so busted. He's freaking
Now look, you see this? He's got this EMT who should be over here. Helping his fellow EMTs. He's got him backed up against the car and he's got his hand on his goddamn neck. And you want to know what this guy's chief said? He didn't do anything wrong. You don't think this will happen in your town? You don't think this is going to happen with your local sheriff? You don't think this is going to happen with your local PD? You don't think so, right? Because you back them, and god damn it, I back them because I would never back anybody who would do anything like this. This cop drove this EMT in the middle of a fluid, high-intensity situation, drove him across the street and backed him up into a goddamn cop car with his hand on his neck. Because he's a bully with a badge and he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Do I sound angry? I don't give a good goddamn if you're out there and you wear blue or you wear brown, or if you call yourself a Christian and you see this and you go, well, the guy brought it on himself because he told the cop not to do anything and he put his hands on the cop. They're human beings. And when they're wrong, somebody needs to stop them. But you want to know who won't stop them? You want to know who won't stop a cop who's doing something wrong? Another cop. Another cop will not step in and tell another cop he's doing wrong. You want to know why? Because all they're interested in is a blue wall of silence. That thin blue line is not about protecting you from the bad guys. The thin blue line is a massively thick wall, and all it's meant to do is to protect themselves from being accountable to you. Look what he's doing to that EMT. Look at him. All you back the blue at all costs, put your signs in your goddamn yards. All you who do that, this is what you're backing. This is what you're backing. Do I sound angry? You're right, I am. You're damn right, I am. Look at that. Look at that. Are you all paying attention? Are you paying attention to what's going on with law enforcement in the community? What's going on with law enforcement in the United States? They don't give a shit about you. I can name about 5 off the top of my head that I would trust my life with right now. And that number's dwindling every day. Because you want to know who I don't hear from? Some of you, TC, that's not very Christ-like of you. That's not very Christian of you. It's because you're sheep. It's because you're morons. Because you will back the tools of your own oppression, because you've been told somewhere down the line that it's you have to back these people because you're a conservative. You have to back these people because you're a Republican. You have to back these people because you're law and order. They're not about law and order. They're about power and oppression. With a very small amount of them, like the one who I highlighted on my channel the other day. I highlighted Deputy Mensik from the Mower County Sheriff's Office from my audit over in Austin the other day. Highlighted the fact that he came out, he was friendly, he was cordial, he's nice, he answered my questions, he made small talk with me. And that was it. He didn't question me about what I was doing. He didn't say, "Why are you filming this area? Why are you filming the law enforcement center?" None of that. He didn't do any of that. He just came out and made small talk with me. And I applauded him for that. But that's the rarity. Now I'm going to show you guys a picture here. And this is it's going to be very brief, but it's from a Capitol police officer from a particular date in the United States Capitol a couple of years ago. And this picture is very important. If I can find it now. Let's see if I can find this picture. Where's it at? I'll just do it this way. I know. I probably lost all of you. You guys see this? This is a Capitol Police officer from a particular situation that's been called worse. The worst thing that's happened to us since Pearl Harbor. The worst thing that's happened since September 11th of 2001. This is a Capitol Police officer holding a 40mm grenade launcher. You want to know what this fat piece of crap did? He launched tear gas canisters into a crowd of people who were kneeling and praying on January 6th of 2021. Yeah, that's what he did. Tear gas canisters at praying people. Those horrible people who were praying. Oh, it's just, just terrible. Just terrible what they were doing. Praying at a peaceful protest. Somehow you're all okay with that? But you know what? Here's the irony. So many of you Trump bots, so many of you, Donald Trump is the great white savior of the United States. So many of you have come out and demanded the disbanding of the FBI. So many of you have. Why? Because they picked on Donald Trump. But you will not open your eyes enough to look around yourselves at the state level or the county state level or the city state level and ask yourselves, what's going on here? Because here's what happens. See, law enforcement at the city level, municipal state level, at the county state level, at the state level, they feed into the federal state law enforcement. Not every FBI agent comes from a local law enforcement agency. I understand that. I know that. But quite a few do. And as I had with a guest who's a former FBI agent, Steve Friend was on here a couple of weeks ago, and he told you that when he was a street cop, they didn't take any training in the Constitution. None at all on an annual basis, let alone on a regular basis. None. But you're all okay with that. It's the FBI that's the problem for you. You want them disbanded. You want the BATF disbanded. And I'm not going to disagree with you necessarily. Yeah, right. In all fairness, they probably thanked him for his service and told him they backed the blue, right? Exactly. I just mentioned this in a phone call with somebody the other day. I was that guy who used to get pulled over for speeding or not wearing a seatbelt or whatever. And then as the officer was walking away, I'd be like, "Thank you, officer. Have a great day." Now, why is all this important? And here's why. Because so many of you, as I've already said, so many of you have said, "Oh, this well, okay, that happens in big cities, that happens in big metro areas, that happens in Washington D.C., that happens at the federal level, that might happen at the state level." No, ladies and gentlemen, that happens in a lot of places. Happens in a lot of places. And it does happen in very small towns. It happens in small counties. It happens in rural counties. You want to know how I know? Because it's happening right here in southeast Minnesota, my friends. But before we get to what's happening right here in southeast Minnesota, we're going to take a look at an actual cop who's doing his level best to do the right thing. Here's a cop doing the right thing and save somebody's life. For those of you that aren't comfortable with violence, you're going to want to be very careful with this. But here's a cop who's doing a good job.
Some more units. Some more units. Some more units. Get down. Signal 13. Get
There's a man and a woman here, and the man is laying on top of the woman, and he is stabbing her.
down. Get down. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. Send more units. Send more units. Sir, drop the knife. Drop the knife. Sir, drop the knife. Hey, back up. Back up. Sir, drop the knife. Hey, swing around. We need a crime scene. Hurry up. Get that. Hey, drop the knife. Drop the knife. Sir, drop the knife. Send more units.
We don't need to watch that again. That was a good shoot. His name is Tyree Moorhead. He was attacking a woman with a knife. And that was Baltimore police that responded to that situation. It was a good shoot. And I feel for the victim. And the victim, I mean the woman that was being stabbed. And I feel for the officer and his family, because this is going to throw his life into turmoil. That was a good shoot. He did his job. So for those of you that are like, "Oh, you have nothing but negative critiques for law enforcement." I have negative critiques for law enforcement when they deserve it. And by and large, right now in the United States, they deserve the critiques. They deserve to be held to an incredibly high standard. But nobody's doing it. Because so many of you are blind. So many of you are blind. But you also think it won't happen in your neighborhood. You also think it won't happen in your community. Because your guys are the good guys, right? Your guys are the ones that would never misbehave. Your guys are the ones that would never act an ass. Your guys are the ones that are always doing the right thing. Because they're small town and they're attaboys and they're good old boys, and they treat everybody the same and nobody gets any special treatment. Well, some of you may or may not know, and I doubt that anybody really knows, but the sheriff of Mower County, Minnesota, Sheriff Sandvik, was back in November, was accused of being drunk at work. November 16th. And he was also accused of harassing employees while he was drunk at work. So I'm going to show you guys the article here, or the report. Stupid ads.
ABC 6 News has obtained security camera footage from inside the Mower County Government Center of Mower County Sheriff Steve Sandvik the day he was accused of being drunk on the job.
This happened last fall. Sandvik was also accused of harassing employees, prompting an investigation by an outside law firm. The investigation found no evidence of harassment, but did say that an Austin police captain trained to recognize intoxication determined Sandvik was drunk because of slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, and the smell of alcohol on his breath.
On the video and some additional documents ABC 6 News has obtained, raising new questions tonight. ABC 6 News reporter Emily Pofall is in studio tonight. Emily, our questions for the sheriff and the county commissioners have largely gone unanswered.
Yeah, James, Laura, we have new documents.
Doesn't happen in your small towns, right? Wouldn't happen in your community, would it? You think it only happens with Hutchinson and Hennepin County, right? No, this happens in small towns. And as I pointed out, Olmsted County Chief Deputy, who's now the Chief Deputy of Patrol Services in Olmsted County, was the Chief Deputy of Detention Services, allowed a deputy who came to a meeting for his behavior on the day before while he was under the influence. He drove to the meeting under the influence, and that Chief Deputy, Brian Howard, of the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, drove that deputy home after the meeting. So don't tell me this won't happen in your community. Don't tell me that the Blue doesn't take care of themselves.
It's obtained through a public records request that call into question Sheriff Sandvik's behavior at 2 other local events and whether or not the sheriff broke the law. This video shows Mower County Sheriff Steve Sandvik at work the day he was accused of being drunk on the job. It's about 45 minutes of Sandvik walking the halls and talking to coworkers. The timestamp, November 16th at around 3:30 p.m. You can see Sandvik wearing his uniform along with a weapon attached to his belt. An email obtained by ABC 6 News dated November 17th, the day after the incident, shows Austin Police Chief David McKeegan citing a state statute, writing, "I understand that we did not proceed with the statute. However, it was something Todd, an Austin police captain, verbally addressed with him in conversation yesterday."
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Austin Police Captain Todd, no relation, not that anybody thinks that, but the chief of police of Austin, Minnesota, blew by the fact that the sheriff of Mower County was clearly inebriated, according to the testimony of his own staff, to his own staff, to his own freaking captain, was clearly under the influence of alcohol, walking around with his firearm on his hip while in uniform. And the chief of police and a captain of the police department in Austin, Minnesota, who were tasked with looking at this, decided that they weren't going to address this. If you and I walked into a bar and we had a firearm on us and we weren't even drunk, but we ordered a beer and we were drinking it, and somebody said you were acting an ass and they saw that you had a gun on you, and an officer showed up, you would be in trouble. You would be in trouble. You would run the risk of going to jail. What's happened to Sheriff Sandvik, huh? What happened to him? Did he get arrested? Did he get charged? What happened?
We looked up that statute. It reads, a person may not carry a pistol on or about the person's clothes or person in a public place when the person is under the influence of alcohol. We asked McKeegan why the Austin Police Department did not pursue this statute. The chief declined to comment. Other emails call into question Sandvik's behavior on 2 other occasions. Here, a conversation about the investigation last fall. In it, the county administrator tells APD, we may also need to interview staff who provided information regarding Sandvik's behavior during Shop with a Cop and National Night Out. Another email between Captain Todd Clennon and Mower County Human Resources says 3 police officers observed the sheriff acting bizarre at Shop with a Cop in 2021. According to City Attorney Craig Byram, neither incident was ever investigated. Today, I reached out to Chief McKeegan and Captain Todd Clennon. Both said they would not comment. I also reached out to Sheriff Sandvik as well as every single Mower County commissioner, but I did not hear back.
But they did not hear back. Did not hear back. Didn't hear back. Do I need to say it one more time? They didn't hear back. The Austin Chief of Police, Austin Captain Todd McClennan, Sheriff Sandvik, and the Mower County Board of Commissioners would not respond. But you want to know the irony of this? The sheriff threatened a lawsuit against county administrator. He threatened a lawsuit. That blows my mind. That this person charged with overseeing and supervising individuals who are supposed to be, first and foremost, about protecting the Constitution, about defending the Constitution and the Republic, and protecting the natural rights of the citizens of Mower County and the people of Minnesota and anybody traveling in the area. And also then getting them to enforce the laws, is threatening a lawsuit against the city or the county administrator because they had the audacity to have him investigated. And then the investigation went nowhere because the chief of police of Austin, who was given the authority to investigate this, and a captain who's been at the job for way too long, by the way. And I happen to know this because I happen to know that his son has a very extensive criminal history. I'm supposed to believe that the blue doesn't defend itself, that the blue doesn't cover up for itself. I'm supposed to believe that none of that happens, and you're all out there going, it doesn't happen in my neck of the woods. It doesn't happen in small towns. That's just big city corruption because, that's just how it is. No, it's not. It happens everywhere. But you're too damn blind and you're too damned afraid to pull your heads out of your own keisters and realize that these people, that the entire institution of criminal justice in the United States is corrupt, and you can only stay in it for so long before it starts to corrupt you. As I was telling a friend today, when a person gets a severe wound and it becomes gangrenous. That infection spreads. And even illogical people will say, I've got a problem. My arm is rotting. And instead of going to the doctor, they'll cut it off themselves, which is, of course, is illogical, but they do the logical thing in their illogical mind, and they get rid of the infection. And a logical person says, oh man, my arm is rotting. It's going to kill me. I'm going to go to a doctor. I'm going to get help. Well, not in the United States anymore. I'm going to go get help. And the doctor says, we don't have a choice. We have to amputate. We have to amputate now. Not you conservatives. Not you normie cons. Not you back the blue morons. You say the entire criminal justice system is corrupt. But we got to leave. We've got to just leave the law enforcement officers who are good alone because they're going to fix it. They're not. We saw it. Do I need to play the video again? A cop tases a man with a head injury and then puts his hands on the throat of an EMT who says, "Don't tase him. He's got an injury. He's disabled." And then his captain or his chief backs him up. In Austin, Minnesota, Mower County, the sheriff comes to work drunk, carrying a firearm, which is a violation of Minnesota state statutes. And the county administrator does the right damn thing, and the chief of police of Austin, Minnesota, and the investigative captain that they hired to look at it don't pursue it. And we don't know why, because they won't talk about it. And you guys all sit there and think, that corruption's not going to affect me. That corruption's never going to touch me. That's never going to happen here. It's because you're stupid. It's happening around you all the time, but you don't want to notice because you've got this in your mind that if you just keep saying the right things, everything's going to be okay. And it's not. It's not going to be okay. The entire criminal justice system is corrupt, and it's not going to get saved by not calling out the corruption. It's not going to get saved by standing there and chanting, "We back the blue, we 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 back the blue." Because these are the very people that will come for you when the red flag legislation passes in your state. And they will do it because they're told to do it, because all they're there to do is take orders and protect their freaking paychecks. Every single last one of them. And the ones who won't will be made examples of, because they will be the healthy arm without the infection that will get cut off to protect the rotten body. And most of you don't care, because you think somewhere in your mind the best thing to do is stand there and back the blue. And all I have to say to you for the rest of the night is what I've been telling people for a very long time. You can chant back the blue all you want until you have no choice but to chant back the blue until it happens to you.
We are going for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at